Conversation podcast. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I'm the one who started the New Health Conversation because I think we sorely need it. And it's my pleasure today to welcome Bob Severite, who's going to share his amazing story. I've known him for a long time. His story is very interesting because he started and stopped, and he has a real feel for going back to a traditional approach compared to the R2M protocol. Just to let you know, not to impress you, but I want to impress upon you, I'm a nutritional researcher for 21 years. I've written 4 best-selling books, 20 shows on PBS, appeared on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America, and have conducted over 1,500 lectures all over the world. So before I bring Bob on, I just want to show you his amazing transformation. It's just crazy. You'll notice there his transformation from day 1 on the left to day 12 on the right. That's the transformation. Look at his stomach, look at the pounds. It's absolutely crazy. But he's not that unusual. We see these kind of results over and over again. And as we're going to talk about today, the main reason to do this, believe it or not, is not to lose weight, but it's really to maximize your quality of life potentials. Anyway, welcome, Bob. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm really excited about you to share your journey because we started a long time ago. You had really good results. And then, as I understand it, a trainer or someone convinced you that there was a better way by counting macros. I don't even understand it. I don't really want to understand it, but you can share that with us. You did that for a while, and the results were almost catastrophic and led you back. And I know you told me that you would never, ever stop doing this R2M protocol ever again. So can you share that journey with us?
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I believe that 20 years ago, March of 2004, I originally did the initial 11-day program. And based upon the results, I lost 15 pounds then in 11 days. But the amazing thing is I had my blood work. Like you, my doctor said I was a heart attack risk. So that's really what prompted me to do the program initially. Based on my doctor's recommendation, he said either you stay in this program or you have to go on medication, your choice. So, of course, I had to humbly call you back and say, how do I get more of this stuff? And the good news is I pretty much stayed in that 209, 210 area, maybe 215, but I was able to maintain for a very long period of time. And in 2018, so that would have been, 14 and a half years on the program, a bodybuilder convinced me that, if you do the my macro program, I can get you down to where you'll have a 6-pack. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. I'm 58, never had a 6-pack. Let's go for it. And I followed his macro diet, which, if you're familiar with that, it's a combination of counting protein, carbs, and healthy fats. Based upon how I looked in weekly pictures, he would change it up every week in terms of what I should be eating and how much, which was real. You become a food chemist. I had to weigh my food. I had to measure my food. I had to literally be on top of it all the time. During that time frame, I ballooned up to 240, and his comment to me was, that's great because now you've put a lot of muscle on. Now I'm going to get you back down to 207, and you're going to be cut. You're going to be ripped. And so I went on his almost cut me down to no carbs, and literally over 2 months, I lost 2 pounds. I contacted our mutual friend, Dr. Marco Ruggiero, and explained to him what had happened. And I said, would you be willing to take a look at my blood test? And I sent it to him because I was rather alarmed. And he completely freaked out on me and said, what are you doing? And I explained to him what I had done and pretty much said, okay, you got to cut everything out of your program and I want you to become a straight vegan. So I did that, and it brought me down to, within 7 weeks, 8 weeks, I got back down from 240 down to about that 215-ish area. And I went back on your program, the R2M, and that brought me down, just doing the shakes alone. I got down to around 209, which is that starting picture. You suggested, hey, let's do a hard focused 11-day. And I followed your new blueprint, and literally that 11-day period, I went from 209 down to 193. So the amazing lesson for me is, I guess we always are striving to do better and we always want to change up. And I think this is like failing forward. I learned from my failure of what works and what doesn't work. But the amazing thing is, I think following the new blueprint, not only did I get back down to 209, which was that starting picture, but I was able to get down to 195, 193, something like that, which I haven't been since high school. So that was the most amazing thing, is that I never could crack 200 pounds. But beyond the physical, I've always told you the best I've ever felt is on this program. It's the mental clarity, the mental acuity, just how you feel. You wake up in the morning energized, feeling good, performance-wise, as well as I mentioned, energy. there's nothing that compares to that. And I think one of the reasons why we fall off is, and I've heard you say this before, you forget how bad you once felt. And so you tend to think, oh, I'll do this, I'll feel even better. And that's why I like the new language of the blueprint is you're saying, we empower you to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And obviously, doing the macro diet program that I paid for, that was a big oops on my part. But thankfully, with the guidance of Dr. Ruggiero, who told you about incubating the shakes, and in combination with getting right back on the R2M protocol, that's the beautiful part of the program. You can fall off, but you can get back on and get right back to where you were, if you will. So for me, I don't think I will be changing anytime soon.
Well, again, everyone, I just want you to look at that trend. That's 11 days, everyone, not 11 weeks. And I know you think it's crazy, but the good news is this, that I've written 4 best-selling books, and in this first book, Why Diets Are Failing Us, which I can't believe it came out 14 years ago in 2010, and there's several updates of that. We talked about one of the main focuses was why in the world are we counting calories when we're ignoring what's inside the calorie? So Bob went on the macro and they were telling him, eliminate this, eliminate that, all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, the problem is that our body doesn't run on calories, doesn't care about calories. It needs fats, carbs, and proteins, but very specific ones in very specific amounts at very specific intervals. So when he talks about the R2M protocol, it's really a combination of food from the grocery store and literally 5 foods that come from around the world. Now, why would you care about that? Why is that important? Because the food in this country, even with your best intentions, even organic. I was actually reading from my book, a shameless plug for me, I know everyone, but I was reading in my book today just about the fact that we've lost our way. We've been so inundated with the concept of calories in, calories out. Harvard Medical School came out and said, stop counting calories. They said this, not only is it antiquated, it's just wrong. And they said we need to change the emphasis on what's in the calorie, not how many calories we're consuming. And I think, Bob, that's exactly what you did. 40% of the food he ingested from the grocery store, from a list that were provided in these. The thing that's so exciting about this, there are now 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies. No other weight loss, nutrition, supplement program in the world have 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies that prove that, number one, the R2M protocol that Bob did or is doing and will never stop now is it's irrefutable evidence. Meaning it's been scrutinized at the highest possible levels. Because the thing you'd worry about, if we go back to his picture again, is the tremendous amount, 15 pounds in 11 days. And normally you'd say, oh my gosh, that's so unhealthy. If it's a diet, it would be. But in the studies through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they proved he didn't lose water weight. And instead of losing lean muscle, and you can see the transformation in the stomach area, let me go back to that picture again, he literally reduced his visceral fat, that's the fat around our organs, and increased his lean muscle mass. That's not photoshopped. His waist going down 5 inches in 11 days is pretty spectacular. But I want you all to understand it's not just what he was ingesting, it was what's called protein pacing that he did. In summary, it's like amounts of protein at very specific times over a 12-hour period of time, and then he did 2 days each week of what's called intermittent nutritional fasting. Now, before you get all excited, it's not fasting, it's not time-restricted eating, but here's the bottom line at the end of it. Number one, if you did decide to do what Bob does, you get coached for free. But the other thing, Bob, we didn't even mention, the 5 foods that you purchased, other than the food at the grocery store, people have a 100% money-back guarantee. Bob, let me ask you something. You paid the money on the macros. I'm sure they refunded your money when it destroyed your health. Did you get the check yet? How long did you do it? 2 years?
2019.
So is the check in the mail? Do you think the check's in the mail for the refund when it didn't work?
I mean, I guess the thing that I learned is that some things work for some people, but things definitely don't work for everybody. That's why I like the verbiage you've always used is just give it 11 days. You decide. If it doesn't work, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So there is that backstop. But that's crazy. That picture was almost 4 years ago, and this is the beautiful part about it. You told me about this initially. I was 42 in 2004. I'm 62 today. And you can tell by just where I'm at right now, I've been able to maintain. And actually, I feel better today than I did 4 years ago once I got back on the plan. So I guess the conversation is, what day don't you want to put the best nutrition in your body? And your body is going to be reflective of what you consume on a daily basis. So yes, for me, this system works and I could never see going back. And it was a hard lesson. I actually did well, fell off, but the good news is that you can always get back on.
The other thing I think we want to talk about, Bob, and again, I know it sounds like a shameless plug for me. It's not really. As a matter of fact, if you go to we have a medical website with all the proof on this. There's nothing to buy. We won't contact you. There's no infomercials. That's called The New Health Conversation. You'll see it. We'll give it to you. But this book in particular, the TDOS syndrome, which is this TDOS is a registered syndrome with the U.S. Patent Office. It stands for toxicity driven by nutritional deficiency, causing you to be overweight and stress. And one of the things that happens on this protocol through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they absolutely unequivocally proved that this protocol was assisting our own body in removing the chemicals, herbicides, pesticides from the visceral fat. And the visceral fat in the see what Bob's results, they were mirrored in these medical trials, 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies, where men and women lost as much weight in 7 days as in 8 weeks of any diet. But also they shrank their visceral fat, that belly fat, by 33%. And the people Bob, I don't believe you exercised it. Am I correct? Because in the studies, they didn't allow anybody to exercise, and yet they shrank their visceral fat by 33%, lost crazy amounts of weight with no water, and gained lean muscle mass. But the main reason to do it is to get your body to get rid of the chemicals that we can't avoid that we're storing inside of us. But I don't think you exercised. Am I correct? And your weight loss on those before and after pictures?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I mean, I've always exercised. Even when at 240, I was exercising all the time. I think in the 11 day, because the way it's structured, probably if I did exercise, it might have been once or twice, because frankly, with the fasting days, I wasn't exercising. So, yeah,
You weren't
probably
working out
not.
2 hours a day. That was my point. You weren't.
Oh, no, you can't.
Right.
You cannot, based upon how the program's designed. It's with 2 days of the shakes and meals, 2 days of the intermittent nutritional fasting, which I was definitely not working out. And then you have 5 days of shakes and meals, and then 2 days of the nutritional intermittent fasting. In that time frame, if I did work out, it might have been once. So there's no way that I could have exercised 15 pounds off in 11 days.
Well, that's my point. No one has ever.
It's not possible.
It's not possible, exactly. And the thing, look, I want to support all the listeners that are watching this live or may watch it when we rebroadcast it. Look, this is real. You're a real person. You're not getting paid to be on here. I didn't twist your arm. You came on, you wanted to share your story to help other people to understand. Just because something like this wasn't invented doesn't mean it wasn't possible. And Bob, I know your background, you worked on Wall Street, you worked in advanced technologies, et cetera. There were certainly things that you came across that almost look like science fiction. And I know, believe me, I think for a normal person who's used to like a pound a week, is this even after all this time, but also now your wife and other people you're seeing, does it just astound you at how advanced this is compared to anything out there?
The reason I did the math because I thought this would be even better for me. But in the case of my wife, her results are phenomenal. I mean, you really can't explain it. So, yeah, it's something that I don't know what level, if you could read out the you'll ever really understand. The science behind it's really, I'm not a biochemist. So, but all I do know is it worked. It worked for my wife. It's worked for just about everybody. But I think the biggest thing is the fact that it's hard to imagine that I've been on a program for 20 years, if you think about it, except for the little blip, the 6 months when I did the macro diet. Yeah, you did. But the point being is it's hard to imagine being on any one thing for 20 years. And the honest answer is that I tried something different thinking it would be better. It was not. I just haven't found anything that's been better for me other than this program. And the thing about it, yeah, you hit it hard in the beginning. I got down to the weight that I wanted to be, but maintenance, that's a whole different conversation. Maintenance is super easy, but that's probably the biggest thing is that you're able to maintain and you don't, I think that's the thing that I think really trips people up because obviously people know me and they see me and it's like they saw me that one period of time fall off the wagon. But for the most part, I've always been in really good shape. And how do you sustain it? How do you maintain that? And that's the maintenance program.
R2M stands for race to maintenance is so important. But again, we tell people all the time, it's our own disservice in a sense. Don't do this to lose weight. That's almost like it's a throw-in. And Bob, you can contrast when you were on the macros, whatever, the way you felt then to the way you felt coming back. And Bob, one of the things that a lot of things upset me, but one of them when someone says, do I have to stay on this for the rest of my life? okay, then I would say the same thing to you. Do you want to go back to the way you felt on the macros? Do you want to go back to the way you felt 20 years ago? And like you said, you feel better now than you did 4 or 5, 6 years ago, and you're older now, but in one sense, you're wiser. I guess that would be a way to say it. Based on what? But based on your own experience.
You learn from a lot of times. You learn more from your failures than you do your successes. But the amazing thing with your diet, that's probably been the biggest awareness, is just recognizing the sensitivity I have today to other foods or processed foods or eating at restaurants as an example. I'm not going to feel good. I'm going to have a couple bathroom visits, but it's because it's what they're cooking with. And it's just the food sources that they have available, maybe that we're consuming at a restaurant. But yeah, I find this program easy. So
say also coming back, because you have perspective from 15 years of past experience, but not just you, but the people that you have shared this with and helped to do it, that have had the questions, friends, family, even strangers. But and I've said it before, the results that we're seeing now with this new system, I've never seen anything like it in my 21 years, let alone you have real perspective now of seeing people who are just, they've either dropped off the wagon or they're doing a traditional diet or whatever it is, and look at the consistent, unbelievable results that we're seeing. Would you agree?
absolutely. The biggest change, obviously, incubating the shakes. And that's the process, 45 minutes. But the amazing thing is, I'm correct, it improves the absorption of the amino acids by 600%. So you could arguably say it's 6 times better than it ever was before. And based upon the results that we're seeing today and what I'm seeing in my own body, yeah, it's insane to feel this good at 62 and to have the level of performance, energy, strength. Yeah, I'm not going backwards. And that's the part that's nice about it is you want to age gracefully, but I almost feel like Benjamin Button. We're growing younger the older we get. So that's the fun part.
It's ironic because my theme song is "Don't You Want to Live Forever?" That's my theme song for the New Health Conversation. So I think that's the best summary I've ever heard. Benjamin Button, that's a new one. That's really great. But Bob, yeah, of course I know. But so anyway, no, I really want to thank you for your honesty and sincerity, and I'm glad you came back to the New Health Conversation with the rest of us. And I really think this is going to probably, hopefully, inspire or at least make some people curious. And really liked what you heard today. You can go to the New Health Conversation. It's free to go there. There's no tricks, and we even set up free consultations with Bob's one of my top advisors, and you get a free consultation. It's not a trick. We're not there to twist your arm. It's not a bait and switch. We're there to make you aware because we don't know anything about you. Do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Do you have any medical challenges? And by the way, this is for educational purposes only. It was not intended to treat, diagnose, or make any medical claims whatsoever. This is Bob's story, his personal story. So, Bob, thank you so much, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon.